Most people do not realize that the heaviest weight we carry is not the difficult work we have to do, but the time we believe we have wasted. You know the feeling. You sit down with a clear intention. You tell yourself that today will be different. You are going to make progress. But then, almost without noticing, your mind begins to drift. You slip into the endless, comforting pull of a screen, a trivial task, or a hollow distraction. The minutes bleed into hours, and when you finally pull yourself back to the present moment, you are hit by a sudden, crushing wave of guilt. If you have ever felt stuck, anxious, exhausted, or angry at yourself for letting another day slip away, this is for you. The true pain of this cycle is not the distraction itself. It is the immediate, punishing voice that follows. It is the heavy narrative that says, "You ruined the day, you are falling behind, you have failed again." We believe that this harsh self-judgment is necessary. We think that if we make ourselves feel terrible enough, we will somehow force ourselves to be disciplined the next time. But the opposite happens. The guilt becomes a heavy anchor. It paralyzes us. We decide that since the day is already ruined by our mistake, we might as well postpone our progress until tomorrow, when the conditions are perfect again. We trade the possibility of imperfect progress today for the illusion of perfect progress tomorrow. In Buddhist thought, this specific kind of suffering comes from attachment. We suffer because we are deeply attached to an illusion, the illusion of a perfectly disciplined self and a flawlessly executed day. When reality does not match this rigid picture, we reject the present moment entirely. We refuse to accept the reality of the hours that have passed. We cling desperately to what should have been, rather than looking clearly at what is. Buddhism reminds us that clinging to a past we cannot change is the root of our exhaustion. Imagine a traveler walking through a vast, quiet forest. They trip over a hidden route and fall off the path, tumbling down into the mud. Instead of simply standing up, brushing off the dirt, and climbing back to the trail, they sit in the mud and punish themselves. They replay the fall over and over in their mind. They refuse to take another step because their clothes are dirty and their perfect pace has been broken. They sit in the dark, believing they must find a way to erase the fall before they are allowed to walk again. This is exactly what we do when we lose an afternoon to overthinking or distraction. Instead of simply starting from exactly where we are, even if it is late, even if we are tired, even if the work will be messy, we choose to sit in the mud of our own guilt. We let the mistake of a single hour destroy the potential of the entire day. We postpone our lives because we cannot forgive ourselves for being human. Think about your own life. What are you still holding on to? What are you afraid will happen? If you simply forgive yourself for the lost hours and take one imperfect step forward right now, is your self-hatred actually bringing you peace? Or is it just another form of distraction designed to keep you from doing the work? The next time you wake up from a spiral of wasted time, stop trying to force the door of the past open. Pause, breathe, observe the heavy feeling of regret without following it down into despair. Let the feeling rise without making it your identity. You do not have to fix the hours that are gone. You only have to inhabit the one that is here. Because peace is not something you earn by being flawless. It is something you make space for when you finally release the demand for perfection. But to truly let go of this guilt, we must first look at the impossible standard we have built in our minds. And this is where the next truth begins. 2. The illusion of perfect progress. Here is the truth few people want to face. The reason you hate yourself after losing time is not because you are lazy. It is because you are deeply attached to a fantasy. We imagine a clean, unbroken line of effort. We build a monument to an ideal version of ourselves, a self that never gets tired, never feels overwhelmed, and never seeks an escape from the heavy pressures of the world. We believe that, if we just push hard enough, our days will be smooth, focused, and perfectly productive. But human nature is not a machine. When we inevitably stumble, when we scroll too long, when our focus shatters, when we feel emotionally exhausted and simply stare at the wall, we feel a sudden, sharp betrayal. We look at the messiness of our actual experience and feel deeply ashamed. We feel we are constantly falling behind. In Buddhist thought, this kind of suffering arises from clinging to an illusion. We suffer because we demand that reality exactly matches the fixed, perfect image in our mind. We forget the profound truth of impermanence, that the mind, like the weather, is constantly shifting. There will be moments of clear focus, and there will be hours of heavy fog. When we refuse to accept the fog, when we demand only clear skies, we create our own misery. Imagine a person trying to draw a beautifully straight line on a long piece of paper. Halfway across the page, their hand twitches. The line dips. It is just a small, sudden imperfection. But instead of taking a breath and continuing to draw, they stare at the mistake. They become furious. They crumple the paper and throw it away, convinced the entire drawing is ruined. They would rather have an empty, blank page tomorrow than a slightly imperfect line today. This is what we do with our time. You have a project to finish, an important task to complete, or a personal goal to reach. You get distracted for 2 hours. The line dips. But instead of picking up the pen and simply continuing the imperfect line, you throw the whole day away. You say, "I have ruined it. I will start fresh tomorrow." You choose the comfort of a postponed, perfect future over the messy, necessary reality of right now. You are waiting for conditions to be perfect, but conditions are never perfect. Think about your own life. What progress are you endlessly postponing because you are afraid it will not look exactly as you planned? What are you afraid will happen if you let go of the perfect image and accept your flawed current reality? Is this pursuit of perfection bringing you peace, or is it just a heavy chain keeping you locked in place? Stop trying to force the day into a perfect mold. Pause. Breathe. Let the messy reality of this moment be exactly what it is. Accept the twitch of the pen. Accept the lost hours. Do your part. Then release the outcome. You do not have to be flawless to move forward. You only have to be present. Because true progress is not a straight, unbroken line. It is a quiet, continuous series of clumsy returns to the path. But returning to the path is nearly impossible when we are still holding the weapon we use to punish ourselves. And this is where the next truth begins. 3. The second arrow of self-judgment. What if the deepest pain you feel is not caused by the mistake you made, but by the story you tell yourself about it? Here is the truth few people want to face. Losing time to distraction is a very small, very human error. It happens to everyone. But the heavy, punishing dialogue that follows, the voice that tells you that you are a failure, that you are always like this, that you will never reach your goals, that is a choice. You take the initial loss of an afternoon and you compound it with a brutal, exhausting attack on your own character. You think this self-hatred is a form of accountability. You believe that if you are hard enough on yourself, you will not make the mistake again. But guilt is not a motivator. Guilt is a weight. It drains the very energy you need to start again. One of the deepest lessons of Buddhism is found in the teaching of the 2 arrows. The Buddha taught that when we experience hardship or make a mistake, it is like being struck by an arrow. This is the first arrow. It is the unavoidable reality of the moment. It causes pain, but it is limited. However, instead of simply accepting the pain of the first arrow, we immediately react with anger, resistance, and self-blame. By doing this, we shoot ourselves with a second arrow. The first arrow is the event, The second arrow is our reaction to the event, and it is the second arrow that causes all the suffering. Imagine a person walking through a dense quassia. The cut stings. It is sudden, and it is frustrating. This is the first arrow, but instead of simply washing the wound, wrapping it, and continuing on their journey, the person stops entirely. They become furious. They draw their own knife and strike the exact same wound over and over again, shouting, "Why did I step there? I am so foolish. I should have known better. I am a terrible traveler." The scrape from the rock would have healed in a few days. The wounds they inflict upon themselves may stop them from ever walking again. This is exactly what you do when you lose hours to overthinking, comparison, or hollow entertainment. The lost time is merely the first arrow. It is a minor detour on the path. But the hatred you direct at yourself, the hours spent sitting in the dark, calling yourself weak, destroying your own self-worth, that is the second arrow. You turn a small misstep into a profound emotional wound. You exhaust yourself not with the work you are avoiding, but with the relentless punishment you inflict for avoiding it. Think about your own life. Ask yourself, when you feel that heavy exhaustion at the end of a wasted day, are you bleeding from the first arrow or the second? Are you suffering because you lost an hour, or because you absolutely refuse to forgive yourself for losing it? Is this harsh internal voice bringing you peace or feeding your fear? The next time you catch yourself drifting, do not reach for the second arrow. Pause. Breathe. Observe the thought without following it. When the voice of judgment arises, do not argue with it. Simply let it pass like a dark cloud drifting across the sky. Accept the first arrow. Acknowledge that the time is gone. Do your part, then release the outcome. Stop striking the same wound over and over. You are not powerless. You can choose to put down the weapon. Because letting go of self-hatred is the only way to free your hands to build something new. But once we stop fighting ourselves, we must understand why the mind wandered in the first place. And this is where the next truth begins. 4. The mind as a wandering river. What if your mind was never meant to be perfectly still? Here is the truth few people want to face. We treat distraction as a profound personal failure. We believe that if we were just stronger or more disciplined, our focus would remain locked onto a single task, like a rigid machine. When you sit down to work and suddenly find yourself miles away, lost in an old argument, worrying about the future, or staring blankly at a bright screen, you feel broken. You think your inability to hold an unwavering gaze is a fatal flaw in your character. But Buddhist wisdom teaches us something deeply freeing. In Buddhist thought, a wandering mind is not a broken mind. It is simply the natural state of the mind to move, just as it is the nature of the lungs to breathe and the heart to beat. It is the nature of the mind to produce thoughts and seek out new shapes. The suffering does not come from the wandering itself. The suffering comes from our violent frustration when the mind does exactly what it is naturally designed to do. Imagine standing in the middle of a wide, fast-moving river. The water is rushing over stones, carrying leaves and branches steadily downstream. You decide that the river should stop. You plunge your hands into the water, trying to grab the current, trying to squeeze the water into submission with your bare hands. The harder you grip, the faster the water slips through your tense fingers. You become exhausted, shivering and angry. You yell at the river for flowing, but the river is not flowing to spite you. It is simply being water. This is exactly what happens when you try to force absolute control over your attention. You sit at your desk, feeling the heavy pressure to succeed or the deep fear of falling behind in life. The pressure builds in your chest. And so, your mind does what it always does. When it feels trapped, it searches for an open door. It wanders toward the easy comfort of a distraction. It drifts toward a notification or a trivial task, and instead of gently guiding your attention back, you plunge your hands into the water. You try to violently force the river to stop. You exhaust yourself fighting the current of your own thoughts. Think about your own life. When you lose an afternoon to distraction, are you simply wandering, or are you running away from a pressure that has become too heavy to carry? Are you trying to aggressively control the river of your mind, or are you willing to learn how to gently navigate it? Is your demand for total silence bringing you peace, or is it feeding your anxiety? The next time you realize your mind has drifted away, do not become angry. Stop trying to hold the water. Pause. Breathe. Observe the thought without following it. Simply notice where the river has taken you, and gently step back onto the quiet shore of the present moment. Acknowledge the wandering with a soft heart. You do not have to fight the current. You only have to recognize that you are standing in it, because peace is not the permanent absence of distraction. It is the quiet, calm repetition of guiding yourself back. But coming back is incredibly heavy when your hands are still gripping the mistakes of the past. And this is where the next truth begins. 5. Releasing the ghost of the past. Here is the truth few people want to face. The present moment is rarely too heavy to bear. What crushes you is the weight of the past you are choosing to drag into it. When you finally gather the strength to start your work after a long period of distraction, you do not sit down alone. You bring a ghost with you. You bring the memory of yesterday's wasted afternoon. You bring the quiet frustration of every task you postponed, every hour you lost, and the heavy shame of feeling permanently behind in life. You try to force yourself to work not just for this hour, but to make up for all the hours you have already lost. This is why starting again feels so impossible. You are asking yourself to carry the burden of an unchangeable past while trying to build a new future. Buddhism reminds us that much of our suffering is born from our refusal to accept impermanence. We forget that the past is entirely gone. It does not exist in the room with you. It does not exist in your work. It only exists in the tight, painful grip of your attachment to it. When you refuse to let go of your regret over lost time, you are clinging to an illusion. You are trapping yourself in a moment that has already ended, sacrificing the only time you actually possess right now. Imagine a tall tree standing in a quiet, open field. During a sudden, violent storm, a heavy branch is broken. It snaps and hangs loosely from the trunk. What does the tree do? It simply lets the branch fall. It allows the dead wood to drop to the earth, where it will eventually become soil. The tree does not try to hold on to the broken piece. It does not exert all of its deep, vital energy trying to force the dead branch to stay attached. It releases what is no longer alive and focuses its energy entirely on the new leaves growing toward the sun. Humans are the only creatures that try to hold on to the dead branches. You lose an hour to scrolling, comparing your life to others, or staring blankly at a screen. That hour is gone. It is dead wood. But instead of letting it drop away, you grip it tightly. You drag the ghost of that lost time into your next task, your next conversation, and your quiet moments alone. You exhaust your vital energy trying to punish yourself for a storm that has already passed. Think about your own life. What broken branches are you still trying to hold on to? What past failures or wasted hours are you stubbornly dragging into this current minute? What are you afraid will happen if you simply let the dead wood fall? Is carrying this heavy ghost bringing you peace, or is it feeding your fear and keeping you frozen? The next time you sit down to begin again, do not bring yesterday with you. Pause, breathe, let the feeling of regret rise, but do not hold it. Stop trying to keep the dead branch attached. Do your part, then release the outcome. You are allowed to start this hour completely fresh, without the debt of the hours before it, because you cannot step freely into a new moment while your hands are still gripping the ruins of an old one. But dropping the weight of the past requires a soft, quiet kind of strength. It requires learning how to come back without anger. And this is where the next truth begins. 6. The gentle power of returning. What if the most important moment of your entire day is not the moment you lose focus, but the exact second you realize you have drifted? Here is the truth few people want to face. We have been taught that success is defined by how long we can hold our attention without breaking. When we slip away into hours of hollow distraction, we treat our eventual return to reality as a moment of profound shame. We walk back to our work, our goals, or our empty desks with our heads hung low, feeling defeated. We believe that because we wandered off, our return is somehow less valuable. We think we must return with aggressive force to make up for our weakness. But Buddhist wisdom teaches a deeply different truth. In the quiet practice of mindfulness, the goal is not to force the mind into permanent, unbroken stillness. The true practice is found entirely in the act of returning. Every time your mind wanders away into fear, memory, or distraction, and you consciously choose to guide it back to the present moment, you are doing the work. The wandering is not a failure of the path. The return is the path. Imagine a small wooden boat moving across a vast open lake. The oarsman has a clear destination on the far shore. Halfway across, a sudden strong wind sweeps over the water, pushing the boat far off its course. When the wind finally dies down, the oarsman looks around and sees they have lost ground. What do? They do not break their oars in anger. They do not scream at the sky for altering their path. They do not sit in the bottom of the boat, refusing to row, because the journey is no longer a perfect, straight line. They simply look at the far shore, adjust their grip, and begin to row again. They accept that the wind blew, and they quietly return to the task of moving forward. In your own life, the wind is constantly blowing. You sit down to do what is important, and a sudden wave of anxiety, a fear of failure, or a craving for easy comfort sweeps you off course. You end up far away from where you intended to be. The moment you wake up from the distraction and realize you are off course is actually a moment of deep awakening. But instead of quietly picking up the oars, you sit in the boat and punish yourself for the wind. You make the act of returning feel so heavy, so loaded with guilt, that you endlessly postpone doing it at all. Think about your own life. When you finally pull yourself out of a deep spiral of lost time, how do you treat yourself? Do you gently welcome yourself back to the present, or do you stand at the door with a weapon of self-judgment? Is this harshness bringing you peace, or is it making the simple act of starting again feel like a punishment? The next time you find yourself far off course, drop the shame. Pause, breathe, acknowledge where you are without anger. You do not have to apologize to yourself for wandering. You do not have to fix the hours that were lost. You only have to quietly pick up the oars and take one small stroke forward. Let the feeling rise without making it your identity. Because true resilience is not the ability to never get lost. It is the soft, persistent willingness to come back over and over again. But to truly move forward after we return, we must let go of how we expected the work to look. And this is where the next truth begins. 7. Embracing imperfect action. What if the hardest step to take is not the first one, but the messy one? Here is the truth few people want to face. You are not waiting for the right moment to begin. You are waiting for the perfect moment. And the perfect moment does not exist. When you lose a large piece of your day to overthinking, comparison, or wandering through the noise of the internet, a strange shift happens in your mind. Because the day is no longer flawless, you decide it is entirely ruined. You tell yourself, it is too late now. I will just start fresh tomorrow morning. You convince yourself that a tiny amount of imperfect progress today is absolutely worthless compared to the fantasy of perfect progress tomorrow. You trade the reality of right now for a beautifully painted illusion of the future. Buddhism reminds us that deeply holding on to an ideal is a profound source of human suffering. We suffer because we reject what is. We look at the fragmented, tired, and unpolished reality of our current afternoon, and we turn away from it in disgust. We demand that our lives and our efforts match a pristine image in our heads, but the present moment is the only place where true action can happen. To reject the messy present because it is not perfect is to reject your own life. Imagine a potter sitting at a wheel, working with a heavy block of wet clay. They are trying to shape a tall, smooth bowl. Halfway through the process, their hand slips. The side of the bowl caves in slightly. It becomes lopsided. The beginner will angrily tear the clay off the wheel, throw it in the corner, and walk away, deciding to buy a fresh block of clay tomorrow. But the master does not walk away. The master simply wets their hands, leans into the mistake, and continues to shape the clay that is already spinning. The master knows that the beauty of the work is not found in a flawless process, but in the quiet willingness to keep molding whatever is in front of them. You do this with your own time. You lose focus at work, you fall behind on your goals, or you waste hours running from your responsibilities. The clay of your day becomes lopsided, and instead of simply wetting your hands and doing what you can, with the hours you have left, you smash the clay. You walk away. You refuse to do even 20 minutes of imperfect work because you feel the entire day has been tainted. Think about your own life. What are you endlessly postponing because you are afraid the effort will be clumsy? What are you afraid will happen? If you accept the lopsided reality of this current hour and just do a little bit of the work, is waiting for a perfect tomorrow actually bringing you peace? Or is it just a heavy chain keeping you locked in today's guilt? The next time you wake up late or catch yourself losing hours to distraction, do not throw the clay away. Pause, breathe. Stop trying to force the day to be perfect. Accept that the progress will be messy. Accept that you are tired. Let your effort be clumsy, unpolished, and small. Do your part, then release the outcome. You do not need a clean slate to move forward. You only need a willing heart, because peace is not found in a spotless record of achievement. It is found in the quiet courage to engage with the imperfect reality right in front of you. But to truly engage with the messy present, we must learn how to repeatedly clear the mind of its failures. And this is where the next truth begins. 8. The practice of beginning again. What if the only difference between those who find peace and those who stay trapped is how quickly they are willing to begin again? Here is the truth few people want to face. We have conditioned ourselves to believe that starting over requires a grand, flawless reset. When we lose hours to distraction and self-sabotage, we convince ourselves that we cannot simply resume our work in the middle of a messy, broken afternoon. We believe we need a perfectly clean slate. We tell ourselves that we will start again on Monday, or on the 1st of the month, or at the very least, tomorrow morning. We treat a new beginning as something that must be earned by waiting. But Buddhist wisdom teaches us the profound power of this exact moment. In mindfulness, the entire practice rests on the simple act of beginning again. When you sit in silence, your mind will inevitably wander. It will chase a memory, a fear, or a fantasy. When you finally notice that you have drifted, you are not told to punish yourself or to wait for a new day to resume meditating. You are instructed to gently, quietly return your focus to the next breath. The next breath is a complete universe. It is untouched by the breath before it. You can begin again at any second because every second is entirely new. Imagine a single candle burning in a quiet, dark room. It provides a steady, comforting light. Suddenly, a cold draft blows through a crack in the window, and the flame is extinguished. The room is instantly plunged into shadow. What do? You do not sit on the floor for 3 hours, cursing the wind for blowing. You do not yell at the candle for being weak. You do not wait until tomorrow night to have light again. You simply reach out, strike a small match, and relight the wick. The new flame is just as bright and warm as the old one. It does not carry the memory of the wind. It does not carry the shame of the darkness. This is exactly what happens when you lose your focus to the heavy noise of the world. You slip into comparison, fear, or hollow entertainment. The wind blows, the light goes out. You find yourself sitting in the dark of your own distraction. But instead of simply striking a match, by taking one deep breath, opening your work, and doing a single small task, you sit in the dark and punish yourself. You wait for tomorrow morning to strike the match because you believe today is already ruined. Think about your own life. Ask yourself, what are you waiting for before you allow yourself to begin again? Are you waiting for a perfect mood, a surge of motivation, or a flawless day? What would happen if you simply let go of the need for a clean slate? Is sitting in the dark of your regret bringing you peace, or is it feeding your fear? The next time you wake up from a wasted afternoon, do not wait for tomorrow. Pause, breathe. You do not need a grand reset. Stop trying to negotiate with the past. Gently strike the match right where you are. Do your part. Then release the outcome. Let the past hour be dark, and let this current minute be light. Because peace is not a permanent state of unbroken light. It is the soft, continuous willingness to strike the match, no matter how many times the wind blows. And as we learn to do this without anger, we arrive at the final truth of our journey. 9. Peace in the present step. We return to where we began. You wake up from a deep drift. You look at the clock, and the heavy, crushing weight settles into your chest. The afternoon is gone. The work is unfinished. The noise of the world has stolen your focus once again. But this time, something is different. Instead of plunging into the familiar spiral of self-hatred, instead of striking yourself with the second arrow of judgment, you simply pause. You do not demand that the river flow backward. You do not stare at the dead branch or sit in the dark waiting for a flawless tomorrow. You look at the messy, imperfect reality of your day, and you finally breathe, because here is the deepest truth of all. The peace you have been desperately searching for is not found at the end of a perfectly disciplined day. It is found right here, in the quiet, humble act of accepting exactly where you are. For so long, you believed that your harshness was keeping you safe. You thought that if you punished yourself enough for wasting time, you would eventually forge yourself into a perfect, unbreakable machine. But you are not a machine. You are a living, breathing human being, walking through a loud and heavy world. Your mind will wander. Your focus will break. The winds will constantly try to blow you off course. You have spent so much of your life believing that you must earn your own self-respect through flawless productivity. You have treated your own mind as an enemy to be conquered rather than a quiet companion to be understood. But the moment you drop the weapon of self-judgment, the war ends. The massive energy you once spent hating yourself for being distracted can finally be used to simply live your life. Buddhism reminds us that suffering ends when we stop arguing with reality. When you lose an hour, let it be lost. Do not let it steal the hour that follows. Do not let your attachment to a perfect, unbroken record rob you of the quiet, clumsy beauty of trying again. Think about the journey we have taken today. We have seen that the heaviest burden is not the work itself, but the ghost of the time you believe you wasted. We have seen that the mind is a wandering river, not meant to be forcefully stopped, but gently guided. We have learned that true resilience is not the ability to never get lost, but the soft, persistent courage to always return. You do not have to carry the guilt of the morning into the quiet of the evening. You do not have to postpone your progress until the conditions are perfect. The conditions are never perfect. The clay is always a little lopsided. The path is always a little muddy. But every single breath is a new beginning, completely untouched by the one before it. Stop fighting the current of your own humanity. Pause, breathe, drop the heavy anchor of your regret. You are not behind in life. You are simply right here, in this exact moment, with a quiet choice to make. You can choose to sit in the dark and wait for a clean slate, or you can choose to strike a match and do one small, imperfect thing in the light. Take the messy step, do your part, then release the outcome. If these lessons touched your heart, share this video with someone who may need a little more peace today. You can let go now.